Honorable Chairman, sir. Thank you, sir. Respected sir, I would like to bring to the notice of the House how primitive our procedure for the assessment of disaster in our country. Firstly, the time taken to constitute a disaster assignment team and deploy it to site after disaster was struck is lengthy, often taking several weeks after disaster has struck. Additionally, it takes even more time for the team to be constituted and a plan to be developed and logistic arranged for these teams to assess the site of disaster after it has struck. The methods of assessment are also primitive and are done manually as opposed to being mechanized and digitized. After few weeks have passed from the commencement of a natural disaster, important information regarding the intensity of the disaster is lost and the 70 is underplayed due to ineffective assessment of modules, and therefore the requisite assistance is not provided. Particularly for coastal states like our own state of Andhra Pradesh, natural disasters such as floods and cyclones are yearly occurrence due to our geography. Through you, sir, I request the Minister of Home Affairs to improve our disaster assessment mechanism so that the states are supported to correct the manner during their time of need. Thank you, sir.
Sri K.J. Alphonse. Sri K.J. Alphonse.
So, thank you, Respected Chairman, sir, for giving me this opportunity, even though I was not listed. I would like to bring to the attention of the House, sir, an extremely critical issue. Sir, 15.5 lakh children wrote NEET examination for admission to the MBBS, out of which 8.7 students qualified. Sir, out of which, sir, only 10% students got admission in MBBS. So, during the last 7 years, the number of MBBS and postgraduate seats have gone up by 80% to 1.48 lakhs. Still, sir, 25,000 students from India are going abroad, especially to China, Ukraine and Central Asian countries to do MBBS. That means, sir, over a 5-year period of 5-year course, 1 lakh children are doing MBBS course outside India. So this is because of two reasons. One is shortage of MBBS seats. Number one, even though there has been an 80% increase over the past 7 years, some states have done commendable work, sir, like Tamil Nadu inaugurated 11 medical colleges in January. Uttar Pradesh inaugurated 9 medical colleges in December. I think it's a very commendable work. Still, sir, we need to increase dramatically the number of seats because, number one, the seats are still insufficient. Number two, sir, the fees is too high. I commend the Health Ministry for laying down that 50% in 50% of the seats, it would be a regulated fees which is equivalent to what is charged in government medical college. I think it's a great step taken by the government of India. Sir, still, private medical colleges are charging extremely high fees for the rest of the 50% seats, sir. This also must be regulated. Sir, one solution which I can kindly suggest to the House is, sir, public sector undertakings have a lot of land, especially the railways, and many other public sector undertakings have a lot of unused land. Sir, they must be persuaded to set up at least 100 medical colleges over the every year for the next 5 years, so that there will be 500 new medical colleges coming up, being set up in this country, so that our children can study here. I request the honorable government to take immediate steps for this, sir.
Right. Right. Associate names has to be sent. Sri Kanakamedal Ravindra Kumar.
Sir, thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity.
Retirement of Supreme Court judges, High Court judges.
This opportunity to raise the important aspect with regard to 0 hour. In the Andhra Pradesh judiciary and also as well as in the country in Supreme Courts and the various High Courts, there are a number of vacancies with regard to the recruitment, though the recruitment is going on, but there are more than 400 vacancies are there. Still, High Court, the Supreme Court is also some vacancies are there. and number of pending cases, lakhs of pending cases in various high courts and Supreme Courts are there. There is no mechanism, though the alternative disputes mechanism is established. Pending cases are more in high courts and also Supreme Courts. In order to resolve this issue and to address the issue of the pendency of the cases, the retirement of age of the High Court judges is at present 62. The retirement age of Supreme Court judges are at 65 at present. I request the central government particularly to enhance the retirement age of the present judges 62 to 65 as far as the High Court is concerned and 65 to 68 as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. So therefore, the pendency of the litigations can be reduced, and at the same time, increasing of age is one of the solutions to reduce the pendency of the cases before the respective High Courts and Supreme Court. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ravindra Kumar ji. Sri Dr. Fauzia Khan, childhood education.
Thank you, sir. I wish to accelerate the discussion around the status of early childhood education in the country, sir. Based on the India Early Childhood Education Impact Study, children's participation in preschool and early primary grades is unstable, which doesn't necessarily follow the linear age-based trajectory under the Right to Education Act 2009 and the National Early Childhood Care and Education Policy 2013, sir. Sir, with the new education policy in place, which prescribes 5+3+3+4, this model, the intent to maximize qualitative learning has been established. According to the new policy, there will be 12 years of schooling and 3 years of Anganwadi or preschooling. Sir, but the policy makers need to realize that before ascribed increased responsibility to Anganwadi workers, we need to either equip them fairly or to make new recruitment from properly qualified teachers in early childhood education, sir. Since 80% of intellectual development takes place at this age, this phase of education needs specialist teachers requiring relevant teacher training. Sir, the latest central teacher eligibility test results show that only 33% of the 1.27 million candidates who appeared for the exam for primary education teaching could qualify, only 33%. Sir, the RTE Act 2009 mandates minimum qualification for teachers from 6 to 14 years of age. Qualifications for early childhood education needs to be mandated, sir. Moreover, teacher training and adult education accounts for only 0.5% of the total departmental allocation of the 2021-22 budget, sir. Therefore, let's start giving due diligence to early childhood education, given that a very large percentage of cognitive development takes place between 0 to 3 years of age. Pre-primary education should be made an important part of the Right to Education Act, sir. A special board must be set up which sincerely monitors the quality standards and outcomes in the early childhood education system, sir. Before normalizing the pandemic, let's normalize perseverance and patience to learn, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sivadasan. Dr. Sivadasan, public sector vacancies.
Now India is facing
Urgent measures to fill vacancies in public sector.
Now India is facing a grave unemployment crisis. So the public sector companies are not recruiting properly. In December 2021, India had 53 million unemployed people. The depth of the crisis is revealed by the recently published data by Statistical Office NSO. The employment among the 15-year-old and above category has jumped to double-digit levels. So, sir, it has reached 12.6% in the April-June quarter of 2021. Earlier, the January-March period, it was 9.3%. Sir, the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic has recently severely hit the jobs and livelihood of the working class. During April-June 2021, unemployment rate for all ages rose to 12.7% because of these, the privatization processes making the huge crisis. In the January-March quarter, it was 9.4%. The female unemployment rate rose to 14.3%. In the previous quarter, it was 11.8%. The joblessness among the men was 12.2%.
Right.
In the previous quarter, it was 8.6%. The growing issue, again, the worker population rate is fell to 14.9%. In the previous quarter, it was 43.1%. The proportion of self-employment has risen 40.7%. In the previous quarter, it was 39.2%.
Demand.
So only
What is your suggestion?
it should be addressed by the government. Privatization of public sector institution will worsen the situation. The government should change the labor and industrial policies. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Associate, send the names. John Brittas, you have given a notice, but we are having today itself the appropriation bill. That is the relevant. So please take it up in the appropriation bill. Otherwise, I would have allowed you.
One second.
Appropriation bill is going to be taken up today itself in the business.
Okay.
That's why you can take up your issue during that.
Thank you, sir.
Sri Elamaram Karim is there. Oh, he is not there. Abir Ranjan Biswas? Abir. ABG Shipyard.
I thank you for this. Yes, my zero hour is related to ABG Shipyard Limited. This recently, a company engaged in shipbuilding and repair in Gujarat was embroiled in a scandal amongst allegations of fraud. Between 2012 and 2017, sir, ABG Shipyard Limited purportedly defrauded a consortium of 28 banks that was led by the ICICI Bank, and it was to the tune of rupees 22,842 crores, most alarmingly. So loans were taken and then diverted to fake uses. The SBI, now the important part comes, SBI identified the fraud in January 2019. It lodged a complaint in November 2019, and a more comprehensive complaint was lodged again in August 2020, but ultimately, sir, it took February 21 for CBI to register a case, finally. So, and CBI ultimately registered the case, booked ABGSL and ABG International Private Limited. Now, sir, as of 2021, Indian public sector banks collectively, they owed approximately 6.17 trillion crores and in non-performing assets, and this includes all the money that has been defrauded by scamsters.
That was discussed separately. You were specific. You made your
Sir,
point.
let me put things in context, sir, please, and then I can...
In the same house, I have allowed it. Na?
Sir,
Please.
so,
Please.
a December 2021 report by the RBI under the heading Trend and Progress of Banking in India, it says that 4,071 fraud cases were reported by banks in the first half of financial year 21-22.
Abir, I have told you, I have allowed it. It was discussed in the house. Yours is specific, so that's why I have allowed. If you again talk about the
No,
same.
sir, what I'm saying...
No, please remember one thing, my dear. You please remember one thing, that I remember what is happening in the house and what has happened in the house also.
Surely, sir.
So there is no question of repetition.
Sir, then I'll put my conclusion, sir, just what I want.
What
Sir,
is your suggestion?
Sir, the thing is that, sir, while the government has a duty to protect banks' customers' funds, there is also a need for stricter corporate governance and evaluation of large loan requests to prevent such shocks to the banking system in the future, sir.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So the house is adjourned to meet at 12 today. 12 noon. All 0 hour special mentions exhausted.